Well, hello and welcome back, everybody. I was not planning on covering this topic. It just kind of popped up on my Twitter feed, and so I figured, all right, well, let's take a look and see what's going on. I saw the name Gina was trending, and of course, it had to be Gina Carano, right? And so I saw this tweet. This is basically the fire starter for what's going on from this woman, Alyssa Mercante. Hopefully, I'm not misgendering this person. I think she's a woman. Senior editor and senior bimbo at Kotaku. Of course it's Kotaku, formerly at Games Radar. And of course you can see the Abby, the shilling for Abby, give me a muscle mommy or give me death. Just gross, whatever. And yeah, the tweet was, I am living for the fact that The Mandalorian kicked a muscular transphobe off the show and then brought in a muscular lesbian like Gina Carano is seething right now. Didn't tag Gina Carano and put asterisks in her name so that she wouldn't actually have to deal with the repercussions from angry fans seeing this tweet. And if you know who this actress is, she's just another one of these god-awful, boring actresses in The Mandalorian. She brought nothing to the show. I remember her briefly on season 2. She was in episode 3 of season 3, which was just terrible. It was just a terrible waste of time. And people want to say, "Oh, well, they were developing plot and they were creating like subtext and stuff." Don't care. The episode sucked. It was boring, and it ties into the sequel trilogy, which is kind of what everyone's suspecting is going to happen. So, whatever. Okay. But of course, the comparison, because she's got muscles and is a lesbian, is comparing her to Gina Carano. And the funny thing is, when I first tuned in, there weren't very many tweets on this. There was a few like calling Gina Carano a transphobe and stuff, and now people have caught on and are starting to lash out at this woman. So again, you have the pro Gina Carano tweets coming out here. Gina Carano will continue to rise up and show a strong woman can't be kept down. Gina Carano Trout. Oh yeah, somebody was suggesting that she be Abby in Last of Us Part 2, which might have been what pissed off this Alyssa Mercante chick, because she loves Abby and she hates Gina. One person responded with, Gina isn't a transphobe, you're just mad because she didn't put pronouns in her Twitter bio, which is 100% correct. Because Gina Carano basically got kicked out of her role on Star Wars because she refused to cater to the woke mob. Someone's like, wow, it's like firing a fan favorite actor and then waiting 2 years for the new season has consequences after all. And nobody wanted The Mandalorian to connect to the sequel trilogy. Also, Gina Carano is still living in some of the show's creatives' heads rent-free. Yes, exactly. And then we have this one here. If you didn't know, Disney and these series are failing. They're just going to let it burn to the ground for you cucks. Gina Carano was 10 times better than this Abby wannabe. 100%. No, Gina Carano's not the most amazing actress ever, to be on TV or theaters or whatever, but she was good. Her character was likable, and season 1 of The Mandalorian was definitely far superior than what we have now. Well, what does this have to do with my topic for this video, Blade? It has to do with Marvel. It has to do with the direction that Marvel and Star Wars have gone under Disney, under Kevin Feige and Kathleen Kennedy, everyone's favorite person. And it's failing. We've seen the ratings for these Marvel shows continue to plummet. The ratings for Star Wars is in massive decline. There hasn't been a new Star Wars film since Rise of Skywalker, and it doesn't look like there's a Star Wars film planned for any time soon. In fact, Disney is temporarily halting or suspending new projects for Star Wars and Marvel. So here we have a article from Bounding into Comics, and this was also on Overlord DVD's YouTube. And again, he deals in rumors, and a lot of the times things aren't the way that he predicts them to be, but once in a while he's right, and you got to give him credit on this one. So Bounding into Comics also covered that a plot leak for Marvel's Blade reboot, apparently it read like a bad young adult novel. It claimed that the film's setup would set up the Daywalker's daughter as his successor. Which, if they were to use Wesley Snipes, that would be perfectly fine if it fit with canon and lore, because Wesley Snipes is an established character. His Blade is, Wesley Snipes has got to be in his, 50s or maybe early 60s at this point. I don't know exactly how old he is, but I'd imagine he's getting up there. So if you wanted to have him play Blade and kind of pass the torch on to a younger character, whether it was like a son or a daughter, I really don't care which, as long as it stuck with canon, that's fine. That would make sense. But they just cast Mahershala Ali to play Blade. The film has been delayed. And then they had this rumor that his daughter would take his place. I mean, what the hell's the point of bringing in a new character, a new actor to play Blade, and then straight up just going, okay, well, here's his movie, and in his movie we're going to introduce the person that's going to replace him. That doesn't make any sense. What is the point of that? And it cracks me up that people always act like Blade never had or that Marvel never had a black superhero before Black Panther, when Blade has been around for decades, both in comic form and in the movies that everyone loved. I mean, personally, I think Blade 1 and 2 were better than Blade 3. Blade 3 was really weak, but whatever. So, that being said, fast forward to today, and this article just came out on Banning into Comics about how the rumor now from another, I believe it was another podcast or another person that was had inside sources, Marvel's Blade reboot will in fact feature the title hero's daughter, and Kit Harington, who was, I think his character was first introduced in the Eternals that nobody watched, his character Black Knight is to be cut entirely. And so the article reads, in seeming confirmation that the film is undergoing a brutal amount of rewrites in order to save it from Marvel's signature writing, the latest whispers surrounding the studio's Blade reboot have not only claimed that Kit Harington's Black Knight has been cut from the film entirely, but also gives credence to the previous leaks, which suggest that its story will focus on the Daywalker's daughter. Which, if that is true, it is going to be a disaster. It's going to be a hot mess. So it goes on to say, these rumored developments were first detailed, as many recent tips surrounding the MCU have been, by film reporter Jeff Snyder during the March 16th episode of his and film critic John Rocha's The Hot Mic podcast. Following on his previous report that the film star Mahershala Ali was still unhappy with his script over 8 months after allegedly having first raised issues with its quality, and as such has taken the matter of fixing into his own hands, Snyder surprisingly informed his co-host, someone reached out to say that Blade's production has gotten a little bit better, things have shaped up. However, despite the seemingly positive turn in the Daywalker's story, Snyder noted that his source had added that one of the major reasons for the production's improvement was that the script is leaner and meaner and that they cut out the fat, a declaration which left him confused due to the fact that the script I had heard was like 87 pages. As for what exact fat was cut from the script, Snyder then revealed, I guess what they cut out I'd heard was that Blade was going to tie in with the Eternals and Kit Harington's Black Knight. Black Knight's not really involved in the Blade thing anymore, he reiterated. Interesting, this cutting of ties between Blade and Eternals. Yeah, so basically what their whole thing was, they were going to tie the Eternals into Blade, with the Black Knight character being in both. They've been trying to do this with all these other characters that nobody cares about, trying to use like Spider-Man and stuff, try to use like put, Miss Marvel in with Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau to make everyone care more about that movie. Marvel is desperate to make people care again, when the reality is nobody cares at this point about Phase 4, Phase 5 moving forward. I mean, even if things followed canon at this point, I feel like Marvel has done too much damage. Like, they have no more goodwill. They're running on borrowed time at this point, and eventually the fan base is going to be all dried up. Their bloated budgets are what's causing them to have a harder time actually making money off their damn films in the box office, because it's really hard to make money when nobody's going to theaters, or less people are going to theaters than they did 3 years ago. To spend, $300 million on a movie, an extra $300 million on marketing and advertising, and then when your film doesn't make more than $500 million in the box office, you're $100 million in the hole. And that's just the case of where we are with a lot of these movies, is people have tuned out, they're done. So, I mean, I wish they would just make another Blade movie with Wesley Snipes. If he was able to do it, I would love to see that instead. But maybe you guys can share your thoughts down below, and I'll see you guys later.